Hey guys, so this is one of the scariest locations here in Davis County. I had to do it at dark because it doesn't really do it justice in the daytime anymore. But this is the former site of, this was the house that was right next to me. This was the oldest house in Farmington. It was built in the late 1847s. And you wouldn't know it from looking at the house. You'll be able to see from the pictures that I post that the house had like a blue facade to it, but it was one of the oldest houses if not the oldest house in Farmington. And one of my friends lived there, and I had the opportunity of going there a lot. And the house had a very creepy feel to it. It was very small, but it had a big energy. And so this house was notorious. I mean, I've never seen powers like that this house had. Anyway, my friend lived there for a long time. He ended up passing away tragically after he moved out. He ended up freezing to death. And so, who knows if the house had anything to do with it or not. But after he moved out, there was this lady that lived there, and this freak occurrence happened one night. It was very late at night, and this tour bus pulled down in the middle of this road in the middle of the night. And it was like an NFL or, a concert thing. It had all these guys on there, and this woman came out completely naked out of the house and stood in front of the bus, and these guys just cheered and stuff. And shortly after, the police showed up and arrested the woman, and the bus just turned around and left. And once that woman left, the house was unoccupied. She never came back or anything. And the house sat completely vacant. And what was weird about it is the power was left on for like 2 years after. And so every night when I would drive past, I would see that the lights were on, and I would go and shut them off. And within minutes, when I came back, the lights would always be on. They were always on in the kitchen and always on in the living room. And so shortly after this all happened, one night I came home, and there were just police cars lined down each side of the road, so many that I hadn't ever seen all in one place. And later the next day, I asked my dad what had happened, and my dad said that there had been activity in the house. And so I don't know what they were there for, but they just lined the street, so it was obviously something big. And so shortly after, I went into the house, and you'll see from the photos and stuff, it was all this devil stuff put in there, and graffiti, and some of the stuff is offensive, so hopefully you won't get offended when you see the pictures and everything. But this house, at night I would go out on my deck, and all that I can compare it to is the shrieking of beasts is the sound that I would describe it as. It was this unbelievable sound coming from this house in the middle of the night. And when I would go to see what it was, like I said, I would go in there, and the lights would all be on, and there was nobody in the house at all. And it was very sinister. And it had a very big property around it. My friend used to have a fire pit around it and everything, so it was completely secluded. And when I was a kid, there used to be greenhouses there, and they would rent out the house and stuff. But the house seemed to have a mind of its own. And when it was supposed to be demolished, as you can see from the pictures, you'll see all this heavy equipment was always moved in to demolish the house. And about 10 different times, the funding and stuff would fall out magically right before it was going to be torn down and stuff. And so this went on for years. And you would look online and see that the one company went bankrupt, and they sold it to another. And I mean, this went on for a long time, and it was like the house had a mind of its own, that it didn't want to be torn down. you know, and it had a very creepy shed out there and stuff, and I'm going to post pictures and everything, but this was one of the strongest energies that I've ever experienced, and even just going in there before it was all decrepit and stuff, it just had this feel to it that something was off there, and so I hope you guys will enjoy this. I'm going to post the pictures, and hopefully you won't be too freaked out, but you know, it was very crazy, and the house sat, and it just had this horrible smell to it, and when it was torn down, you could still drive by and smell that smell. I don't know if it was from the demolition or if it just hung around longer, but it was this horrible smell, and you could smell it still even after it had been torn down and condos had been built on the land and everything. And so it was just one of a kind, you know, and I'll never forget that the energies and the sounds that I heard coming from that house in the middle of the night. It was freaky, and I can't explain it, you know. I never was able to explain any of it or make any sense of it, but it was truly one of the most haunted houses I've been to, and it was right here in Farmington. And so anyways, guys, I hope you enjoy this and enjoy the pictures, and we're going to do more, you know. We're going all around and doing the haunts, and so look for more soon. And thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Bye.